everyone, it's Erica with Crafteinated, and today I'm going to go through one of my favorite projects, and I've done a video before for these. It's my mini albums, and these are my favorite things to make. They're very time consuming, they use a lot of materials, so I don't do them as often as I'd like. This one took me 2 days of work to complete, so I started it the other day and I finished it yesterday, and now I'm editing my video and so I can put it up. I went through the steps, but I'm gonna link Christy below. This tutorial is by Christy. She does beautiful mini albums, and she has really easy to follow tutorials. She has different tutorials. This one just happens to be my favorite one. So I'll link her below, but I'm going to go through the steps, and then at the end there's a flip through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the time stamp of the flip through at the bottom in case somebody doesn't want to watch the tutorial portion of it, because it is so cute. So I'm going to get into the video, and I hope you guys enjoy. So the items that you need to make this project, this mini album, are varied. It depends on how you want to decorate it. It depends on what you have. So I'm going to show you like kind of the base of what I use to make it, and then we'll go through, once I get to that point, and we'll go through everything I use to decorate. So one of the most important things is your ruler. You'll need that. You'll need, I use 2 pieces of this chipboard. It's from Cricut. It's the 2mm. And I have some other chipboard that I recently bought that I'm going to try next time. But I still have some of this left, so I'm going to use up what I have of this first. And I'm going to show you how I do this with the Cricut. I'll pull my Cricut out. I'll show you how I do that. Then I use the card and envelope sets from Michael's, the Recollections. So this is the 6.5 by 5.5 card with the 7 1/4 by 5 1/4 envelope, and this is basically the inside of your mini album. You'll need some sturdy, this is like some heavier weight white paper, and you use quite a bit of that. I just grabbed a handful out. I probably won't use all of that. You need adhesive. I use the adhesive tape. Any adhesive will work, but I like using the, last time I made it I didn't have it, but I like using the thick tape for the binding and the wrapping of the bind, and then the regular tape for the inside of the mini albums. I also use, sometimes depending on if I need it, some red line tape, which I didn't pull out, but if I need it I'll grab it. Then you'll need a ball tool. I use the 3mm ball tool. This is when you're going to make your gussets, and I didn't grab it, but it's somewhere around these parts. I'm gonna get my bone folder out after I use my Cricut, so you'll need a bone folder. I use my scissors, my tool to remove the backing from the tape, a pencil to make marks, your cutter, and then you'll also need your scoreboard or some way to do scoring. You don't have to have a scoreboard, but however you do your scoring, you'll need that. And then I also use the art glitter glue. So this is just kind of like the base of what I need for the mini album. I'm going to cut to the Cricut and kind of explain how I do it with the Cricut and how I make the binding. And if you don't have a Cricut, there's other ways you can do it, X-Acto knife and ruler. And then I'll come back from that and we'll kind of go through the steps to making the album itself. So the first thing I do is I use my Cricut, and I use my maker to cut out the binding, and I have it all set up. So if you have a Cricut, you'll push your stars all the way to the end, because if you're using the 2.0mm heavy chipboard, you have to do that, and you use your knife attachment. So I'm going to cut out the binding, and it will go for, I think it's like, says like 20 swipes, but I only do for 8. And then I check it. If it needs a couple more, I do it. If not, I turn it off, pull it out, and get my chipboard out. So see, it says 1 of 24 passes, and it only needs to go, I think, anywhere between 7 and 10 is good enough. So I'm going to count as it goes through, and then once it's done, I'll come back and show you the binding. So I am cutting out the second piece of the front of the binding. So here's the front. This is 7 3/4 by 6 1/4, and you'll need 2 of those. So I'm cutting out the second one here. And then this is the spine of the binding, and that piece is 7 3/4 by 2. So if you don't have a Cricut, that's fine. You can use an X-Acto knife and a ruler. If you have a Cricut but don't have the knife attachment, I would probably not try to use your blade. You'd probably ruin your blade doing this. So it only took 9 passes with the last one. So once this gets to 9 of 24 passes, I will take it out, and then I'll switch to the top down view so you can see what I'm doing. Also, and this is with Cricut's recommendation, is that you use the painter's tape or some kind of tape when you're cutting the chipboard with the knife tool to help keep it in place, and use your strong grip mat. So we'll just give this a few minutes, and then I'll be back. We'll do top down, and we'll go from there. Okay, so you saw me make my binding, and then I'll go through on how I wrap it. So what you'll do now is you've got your binding, and you'll need 4 pieces of your 8 by 11 cardstock. You can use bigger cardstock if that's all you have, but 8 by 11 is what she used. That's what I'm going to use. And you're going to adhere this and then wrap it. So you do about a 1/2 inch of overlap with the glue. Let me see here. So like that. And you'll glue that piece down at 1/2 inch over. So I'm going to put some glue down. Where's my small glue? And I have done a kind of a craft with me of this before for a tutorial. I'm going to try to make this a little bit easier to follow, but this is a big project. I mean, if you're doing one of these, it takes, last time I think it had over 9 hours of video of me making it. And it takes a lot to do these projects, these mini albums. Usually it's like 3 days or so working on it, because I don't work on it nonstop, but like 3 days or so of working on it, and then I have it completed. So this might be a long video, but I will link Christy's below because she does hers in a couple of parts. I probably will just do this as one video. So I put my glue down so it's about a 1/2 over. Oops. And then you take your other piece of white paper and you just kind of line it up. And that's the beginning for the wrap. And then I'm just going to kind of see where everything is here. You put your chipboard down. And I'm going to use a thicker tape. I'm just trying to see where I need to put everything. And then this is where you'll need your ruler, because the pieces of chipboard need to be, I believe, let me check my notes here. I think it's a 1/4 inch. Yes, a 1/4 inch between the spine and the front. So like that, like that. Oop, I moved it. So I might move this down just a smidge so that it's more even on either side. There we go. So I'm gonna put my tape down, and I used the thicker tape. Last time I made it, I was out of the thick tape, and it made me sad. Because then I had to put all this tiny little tape on, about 50 million sheets of it. Because this is one thing you do not ever want to have fall off. The binding is important, as it is the main piece of your mini album. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all the tape down and put it down. I'm gonna speed it up for that, and then I'll come back and tell you the next step. Okay, so I'm going to remove the tape from the chipboard, the first piece, and I kind of just keep, once I get the tape down, I kind of just keep it where it was lined up before, just so I can kind of have that as a guide as to where I put it down. And I'm going to hold my ruler steady as I do it. All right, so that is the first piece. That's the hardest piece, because then everything else just kind of goes from that. So then I'll do my spine. And a 1/4 inch in is at that 8 mark. All right. And then we'll go a 1/4 inch in. It'll be right there at 10 1/4 on the ruler. So we're gonna go ahead and put it right there at the 1/4 inch, so 10 1/4. And there we go. So that is the beginning of your bind. And then what I do is I kind of work these pages where it needs to like bend in. Just kind of start working that in and bending it up all the way around. And this will get covered again with pattern paper. All right, so everything is kind of worked in. Make sure that's down enough. And then you're gonna kind of go through and just cut crescents around so that the fold looks good. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then you'll cut here on either side. So I'm gonna go around and do that. So now that I have my pieces cut out, what you'll do is you'll kind of just work this in. So when you go in, it doesn't matter, this isn't perfect. I'm just kind of giving it all a little bit of a burnish real quick. And then you'll go around and you'll tape it. And when you put in this one right here, you'll gusset when you put it in with your ball tool. And I'm gonna use my bone folder here to make sure that the creases look really good. And so see how there's just like at the tiniest bit where this isn't lined up? That's okay, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to cover it again with white paper, and then you're going to cover the whole thing with pattern paper. So even if, say, that little tiny piece doesn't get covered, you won't even be able to tell. So I'm gonna go ahead and put tape on everything, and I'll come back and do the, well, let me do the gusseting first. And actually, I'm gonna use the bigger gusset. I'm gonna use the 8 this time, just because there's still so much of a gap between. So I'm gonna put tape down and then we'll put everything down. And on these sides, I'm gonna use the smaller tape just because we do not need that much overlap. However, if you do have overlap, again, totally fine. You're gonna put more paper down. All right, so this is the beginning of your binding. That is the front or the back of your book. I'll probably make, well, I usually kind of see how it goes. I usually, like say if there's a corner that looks a little bit iffy, like this one, I usually put that in the back. But it'll be fine. Like I said, either way, once you get everything covered. So this is your basic binding. Then I'm going to, the way I do the inside is I just use a pencil. So I line it up. I do about like 1/8 of an inch in, right? From like the edge. And I line it up, and then about 1/8 of an inch in, I put a notch there. And then I make sure it comes over past the middle of the binding and a little notch there. And then I cut both pieces of the white paper at the same spot. And I hold on to all my white scraps because there are places as you go on that you'll need some white scraps. So I hold on to those. And then I just kind of lay this down, make sure it looks good. And then before you tape it down, you hold it in place and you gusset first. So this is where I want it, right about there. And then I'm gonna gusset. And I'll do that for both sides, and then I'll just tape it down. So I have my tape down now. So what I'll do is I'll take the tape off and then I line up the gusset. I take the tape off of this side first and I leave it on the binding portion. And then I line it up, and I'll show you what I mean. I re-gusset just to make sure. And then I kind of fold it up and take the tape off. I'm using my fingers instead of the tool, which makes it just a little bit harder. All right, so then I just kind of line up where the gusset would go with kind of where we had it, about a 1/8 of an inch in. Oops, I'm getting stuck to my backing there. So that looks good right about there. Before I completely push down, I just make sure the gusset's good, and it is. And you can use your bone folder too to burnish the paper down. And then I just kind of flip it up just a bit, and then I take off the binding tape from underneath. And then I put that down. And make sure it folds nice and easy in, and it does. And there was a thing I forgot to mention. Another thing that I use for mine that I didn't talk about in the beginning is magnets. I use magnets for mine. You don't have to use magnets. I just like the way that it closes things. You could also use, and which I have some as well, you could use Velcro. But I'm gonna put the tape on this one, put this down the same way, and then I'm just gonna come back after that's done and show you how to make the inside of the mini album. So for the inside of the binding, you'll need some plain cardstock. And this is one piece that I had left over, which I believe will work. So the first one you'll cut will be at 2 1/4 by 7 1/4. So we'll do the 7 1/4 first. And that, I'm throwing that away. And then it'll be 2 1/4. It's hard to tell on here because I have used this so much that now it has started to rub away the marks, which means it's almost time for a new one. So that is 2 1/4 by 7 1/4. And the next two pieces that you'll need are going to be at 7 1/4. So I'm going to cut it that way first. And then you'll need it at 2 3/4. And then you'll need it at 3 1/4. And this is using the stack the deck type folding. So if you're familiar with that, you'll know kind of where we're going with this. So then you have these are your 3 main pieces for your binding. And this is when I take out my scoreboard. And for the first one, that's 2 1/4 by 7 1/4 is going to get scored at 1 and 1 1/4. Your second size, that is 2 3/4 by 7 1/4, is going to get scored at 1 1/4, 1 1/2. I'm sorry, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, and 1 3/4. So this one gets scored at 1, 1 1/2, or 1 1/4, 1 1/2. And 1 3/4. And then your biggest size, which is the 3 1/4 by 7 1/4, will get scored at 1, 1 1/4, 2, and 2 1/4, excuse me. So we'll do 1, 1 1/4, 2, and 2 1/4. So the way this will work, let me move my scoreboard out of the way, is that you only fold in the outside lines. So I'm going to fold in the outside lines of the biggest one and leave the other one alone. And same with the medium size. And then this one only has the one size, the one score. So now, when you go to, I'm going to go through, I'm going to just trim off just the tiniest bit, but you can see this right here is where the inner score lines are. This one fits right in there. And so that's your inside pages. And then this one, and your 2 score lines are right here, fits right inside of there as a guide to where all of your pages go for your mini album. So you'll just glue this right here with this guide of the score and glue this right here with this guide of the score. And then once you have this together with your envelopes and all that's done, which takes some time, we'll get there. but then this will go right inside of your mini album as you're binding. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna cut just the tiniest bit off of these. So just you trim just the corner off, so it's not a lot, just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect because this is gonna get covered. But this helps so that your pages look nice and flush. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna cut off all the corners, I'm gonna glue it in, and then I'll come back and we'll go to the next part of the tutorial. So actually, before I start gluing these down, this is where I use the red line tape, is this part right here. You don't have to. I just feel like the red line tape is way more secure, and you do not want your pages falling out. And they do, so most of these I've made unfinished and give them as gifts, like for a baby album, wedding album, etc. So I didn't fill them, but I did make one for my my best friend Lauren for her birthday, and I filled it with all of these photos of us from, you know, growing up and everything, you know, our friendship together. And as I was putting in the pages and the pictures, and it gets heavy, so I do recommend using a really strong adhesive, using lots of adhesive for the pages. If anything ever falls out, you can just reinforce it with some glitter glue or some kind of glue. But this is the one spot where I use the red line tape, and that's just so that these pages are really, really secure. And it's when you're putting this piece, this is like the most terrifying part of this thing, is when you're putting this piece into the book, making sure it's lined up, and that, especially if you're using the red line tape, like you have to get it right the first time, or you just have to go with it. And it is a little terrifying, but I usually make marks, and I'll show you once we get to that part. I make marks with the pencil where it needs to kind of sit, like on either end, and like, so it just like, I can just like eyeball the pencil markings and put it down so that it's as easy as possible. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this, tape this down. And so what I do is I just kind of use my fingernail here and just kind of line it up just like that, making sure that it's inside of those score lines and going all the way down. Sorry, that's my head. And then there you go. There's your first set of page pieces for that. And then I do the same thing with this one. And you might have to see my head again. I'm sorry. It's hard to not do it without like bending over to look. And then right inside of those score lines. Perfect. So that is the beginning of the inside of our book. So let me put that away. So the next thing you'll do is that you'll get 6 envelopes out of your recollection or whatever you're using. So you'll get 6 envelopes. And I really like the recollection ones only because these are constantly on sale and you can get them so cheap, and it really helps with the making of this. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I will go ahead and prep these, and how you prep them is you either put glue down or you do licky sticky all the way around for every single one, so they're closed envelopes, and then you'll literally cut off just the tiniest amount, and that's where your insert card will go. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep these, and I'll be back to show you where I cut one of them. So this is the closed envelope. It's sealed shut, and I need to cut just the tiniest bit off to make it as an open pocket. So I just eyeball it when I do it, and I just look and see kind of where the smallest part I can cut off is. So it's probably like 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch that I'm cutting off. This is the piece right here that I cut off. So it is so tiny. And that's folded, and that's so tiny, but I like to have, you know, as much of the pocket open as possible. So I have all of these prepped. There's 6, and I will put them into my binding. So to do that, you just you just glue, and I'm OCD when it comes to this. I make them all going the same way. So what I typically do is I have the blank side facing out, and obviously you're gonna have your pocket side facing to the front, like the outside of the book. So you just go through and you tape these down, and you're gonna leave like 1/8 of an inch between your your envelope and the edge of your not binding, but the inside, the pages. So you'll leave like 1/8 of an inch, and that's so once you get things going, if you put it right up to the, if you put it right up, it's gonna have problems opening. So if you leave it 1/8 of an inch, that gives you plenty of space to open your pages once that's all done. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'll do one on camera, and then I'll do the rest off camera, and we'll come back. So I literally put it right like that. This is probably more of like 1/4 of an inch, but that's fine. You don't want to be too close to the edges of these things, because some of these things have pockets. You want them to be able to expand. You just want some wiggle room. So I'm just gonna go over just a bit more with the tape, and if I have to reinforce it with the glitter glue, I will. Take all my tape off, and I glue them all to the outside of it. So the whole, it's gonna go this, you'll see it goes the same way through. So make sure your pocket's to the out. I'm gonna have my blank side up. I'm gonna kind of line it up with the binding. And that's about an 1/8 of an inch in, and burnish. And that is the first page of your book. So then you'll do the next one, glues right here, glue here, glue here, here, and here. So that's how it'll look. I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and do that, and then when I come back, we'll go through what I do with the pages following Christy's tutorial. So I have completed gluing down my envelopes to the binding. So this is what it looks like now. And that's a top-down version. And it looks, I'm really pleased with how it's turning out so far. Everything looks good. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you how I do some of this, and some of the stuff is like the same. So I'll just do one, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. So for the first thing you're gonna do, this is for page 1, is you put your envelope down, you like glue around this portion, and you glue it down like this so it's a flap. And you'll do the same thing for the back. So these two will be the same, like that. So I will put this one down first, and then I'll do the other one later. So I just use my glue and go around. And with this one, I'll use the magnetic closure, and I'll show you how I do that. And it's the same way that Christy does in her video. So the main thing with this one is just lining it up with the outside of the flap or the envelope or page. So let's see here. Just line it up as best you can with the corner there. And then all the way down to the other corner. And then that is the first page. So when your book's all in, this page will flop open. So for the magnets, I put these in this thing that Amber sent me, or Lyric Lover, in a box that I got from her. So you'll need 2 magnets. Oop, they went. So this one is a magnetized bin, so they just went right to it. So I'm gonna put one here. And the way that Christy did this in the video, which is the best way that I think that it is to do it as well, is you find where you want your magnet. So I want it like kind of right in the middle, but like about an inch in. And then you put your tape down. And then cut off another piece of the double-sided tape and lay it across. Take your other magnet and then just drop it, and there it magnetized. And then close this. I'm gonna flip this open again. Close this. Push down the tape, and now you have a magnetized close. And then you'll cover this with paper once you get to that point. So that's the first page. The last page will be the same exact way, and I'll do that later. Then for this page, it's kind of like a cascading. So you'll take another envelope. You will need 2 because you do it for both sides of the page, but I'm going to put this to the side and just do the one for now. And you're going to close the envelope. And then you're going to score, or not score, you're going to cut it at 2.5. So that is 2.5. And then you'll have your cascading pockets will be like this. So then you glue it down. Just make sure when you're gluing it down, you just give a little bit of space for the glue so the pocket is expandable. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down now. You'll do the bigger pocket first. And see how I'm leaving about like a 1/4 of an inch around. That's about what you'll want to do, at least 1/8. I do about 1/4, or between the two. And then I'll do one down the middle as well, just because I like to have everything adhered down well. So then I'll put this piece down. And you don't have to do it in this order. This is the order that Christy did hers in. I like the order, so I've kind of done it the same way with every single one. But you can do whatever you'd like. And if you like a particular page, maybe you want to do more than just one of them. Maybe you want to do, you know, 2 of the same kind of page. And so then you'll just line up your corners down here like you did with the other one. And then so that's the first pocket. Then you'll put your second pocket down here. So then you'll put this is a smaller pocket. You just line it up on this one and go ahead and adhere that down. And then that is your next page. This page will look the exact same. This page, page 3, you'll do these last because you will need to cover it first. Page 4, this one's fairly easy. You're going to close your envelope. And you're going to get your pencil. And this one will make both pages at the same time. And so you're going to notch it, actually I'm going to do it like this, at 2.5 on either side and then cut diagonally. So I'll show you what I mean. So 1, 2.5. 1, 2.5, and then you'll cut right along that. So how I do it is I just kind of line it up on my cutter. So this is where the one notch is, that's where the other notch is, and then I just cut. And then it moved. So there you are, you have your 2 pages. And actually, I'm gonna cut off just a bit more because it moved. And I just wanna make sure it looks good. So I'm just gonna take a tiny bit off of this one so that it's flush. And then I'm gonna take a tiny bit off of this one. Perfect. So then you'll adhere these down in the same way that you did the other pocket, where you're just kind of leaving 1/8 of an inch there, and you just adhere it down like that. So I'm gonna put the one down. I'll wait to do the other one till later. Alright, so you'll just line this up just like with every other piece so far. We're down in the corner and across. And then you have your diagonal pocket. This page you will also leave blank, as you'll do this after you cover it. And this one's one of my favorite pages. I mean, I like all the pages, but this one's gonna end up, I think it's really fun. So for this one, you do like some side pockets. So you'll take another envelope and you'll close it. And you'll cut at 2.5, and then you'll rotate it and cut it at 2.5. So lots of 2.5. So that's one. So you flip it so you're cutting along the already pocketed edge. And it's literally just the tiniest bit you're cutting off, but it's just so they're both the same. And then you put these in like this, where the opening goes to the outside like that. So I'll put one down now. Back to the book real quick after I get this in, and we'll do that part of it where we're going to put the way that we did the front of this book and the way we're doing the last page with the flap and the magnet. I do that on the inside of the book itself, on the front and the back, so that's another flap. And then there's a little bit more that will go into that, and I'll show you. So let me just go ahead and put this piece down. So I'm just lining up with where the card would be, a little bit over though, so that it doesn't look like it's such a wide gap between the two pockets. And so that's pocket number one, and the other pocket will go over here. So I'm gonna put this to the side, but just to recap, that's the flap that closes, the cascading pocket, leave blank, your diagonal pocket, leave blank, and your side pocket. So this is the base again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a card, I'm sorry, not a card, an envelope, one here, as well as one over here that's gonna have that same magnetic closure. So I'll just do one right now. So when I put this one down, I just want to make sure it's about even for the top and the bottom. So you want to make sure these are about even, and you want to get as close to that white piece that you put down as you can. And that looks good. And the reason being is because you're going to cover this bottom portion. So I will put a magnet here, but I'm not going to put a magnet on here. Reason being is I am not going to, this isn't going to close just like this. There's going to be more on the inside. So let me go ahead and do my magnet. And so then this will, when I go to do the piece that this is going to fold onto, that's when I will cover this. So I am going to do this one over here, and then I'm going to cover this with some paper, and then I'm going to cover the other pieces, finish putting this together, and I will come back and show you guys what I do from here. But before I do that, and this is what it's kind of shaping up to be, so it's starting to look like a book. Before I do that though, I want to show you what I'm going to use to decorate this with. It is so cute. So I love Harry Potter, I always have. And Echo Park came out with this Witches and Wizards kit, and I got all kinds of goodies to go with it. So I'm going to use this as how I'm gonna decorate it. So I'm gonna step off. When you put this in, I'm gonna put plain paper in on the back of this. When you put this in, you're gonna do it the same way you did the white paper, where you gusset it first and then you adhere it down. And I'll do this all off camera, and then I'll come back and we'll go from there. So when I went off camera, I put the blue paper down, and then I also made like a notch, like with my pencil, where this is going to sit. I finished up the pockets. So there's the two side have the waterfall type one. I covered this one with a green paper to do the inside portion. I just did one because I'll do one on camera and I'll finish it off. I did the diagonal pockets. I put this red paper down for the other one that the paper had to go down first for. You have your two side pockets now and the floppy one. So before I get to that part, I'm going to wrap the cover with paper, and I chose, where's the paper I got? I chose this banner paper. I think it's really fun. So this is like kind of like the reverse of what I do on the inside. Let me move my paper back here. So you'll take your paper and you'll notch it again, leaving about 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch, some in between there, of the white. And then I do the same with the inside, where I make sure there's enough for an overlap. So I'm probably gonna go to right about this blue, the end of this blue one, like right there. And then I will cut them both the same, and then we'll use those to wrap the front of the book. So after you cut it and have it ready to go, you're gonna wanna kind of like shape it to the book before you adhere it down, because you don't want the paper to rip. So we're gonna have it right about there. Looks good. Maybe just a smidge in. Perfect. And then so I'm just gonna kind of work the crease in there a bit. And put that to the side, and then do the same with the back cover. And then, work that in just a bit. So I'll put my tape down and then I will put it on. I'm going to cut off just a bit of the other one so that it doesn't go quite as far over, and there's a nice, you know, like section here so it doesn't come over into my front. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to put my inside in to the book, and then we'll go through how to do this front section, as well as these that I didn't do in the beginning. And then I will, the ones that are like just plain pieces like this to cover, I'm not going to show you how I do those, but I'll show you how I do the cascading one and the diagonal and the side loading pockets. So let me just put the cover on real quick, and then I will be back to go through the rest of that. So the cover is on. I think it looks fabulous. It almost even lined up pretty good with like the banner. So I'm pretty excited about that. Although I usually cover the the back with something. So that's this part. So we need to put our book in. And one thing you have to make sure of, because this happened to me one time, is that you are putting it in the right way and not upside down. So one time I had it, like you want your banner to be going like this. Like say I had it flipped and I put the book, the inside in the wrong way. I had to take it out. I had to redo the inside. It was a whole thing. So just make sure, so your banners are here. You want your pockets opening up like so. So this is all the right way. So this is like the moment of truth type situation here with this red line tape. I did put the notches on there, so I'm not sure if you can see, but there's pencil mark here and pencil mark here to kind of keep it in line. And I like to do it with these flaps up so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And you could put them in after if you'd like to. So right about there. Here, I need to stand up. Okay, I think that looks good. Okay. So I just go through and burnish down along all the pages. And then when I'm done with these, I usually go through and make sure all my pencil marks are erased, because I use them when I'm doing the pages as well. So now it's in, good and secure, and that is the beginning of your book. How cute does it look so far? I think it's adorable. So I'm gonna do the inside of this first. You'll take an envelope and the open portion, so you're gonna have it so it's open like just like that, right? So that'll be the inside, but you want to leave a little bit of a border. But you'll cut this at about about 2. So I'm gonna cut the flap off at 2. Here, it'll be fine. That's perfect. So then this will go in here to make another flap. So I'm going to put my glue down. Now you can put, and I have in the past, put this on after, like, you know, put a piece underneath, and I still might, so that this has a magnetized close too. So what I would do is I would, after I get done decorating this part, put a piece of paper here that's like patterned, and then put a magnet underneath for this one. I'm going to put a magnet inside of here just in case I decide to do that. And if not, it's just a magnet. So let me just leave a little bit of space there. Make sure it's nice and even. And that looks good. And then I'm going to put a magnet here to close this side. And now that will magnetize close, and then I will put a magnet here, and then I may do something over here so that it will be covered. If not, it'll be all right. So there's that front, and I'll do the same thing with this back flap. Now the last thing that I'll do is you'll close an envelope. And you're gonna cut it 2.5. Save the other one for the back. And then glue this down right here for that piece. And then you'll paste this down with the opening going out, and just give yourself just a bit of room there, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, so that the other one will close properly. And then that is the front flap, and we'll do the same for the back. And we're gonna do this one right here. This one's a lot of fun to do. You'll need the cards from the kit this time. And remember how I said, let me see. Remember how I said we should save our white scraps? This is one of the reasons why. In I could find my cards. There's my cards. So this is the reason why you want to save your, this is part of the reason why you want to save your scrap, is because you'll need it for this part. So take your card and bend it over and get it. Sometimes these cards don't line up, so you just have to like re-burnish them down. So you'll take this card, and you're gonna have two of them, one for each page, and you're gonna cut it at 5.5 by 5. So it's already at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll go 5.5 this way. So you'll cut it at 5.5. And then what you'll do is you will score at a 1/2 inch on each side, and then you'll cut off a 1/2 inch on each side, and I'll show you. So we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch down to where the score line is for the card. And then we're going to score at 5 down. And you'll just take your scissors and trim that off on either side, right at the card score line. And then we're going to cut the 1/2 inch off on each side. So I just follow the score line up. And then you do the same for this one. So that is step 1 of that. And then you will need your scrap paper, and you're going to need to cut this at 1 by 4.5. And then you're going to score this at 5, at 1/2 inch, 0.5. And then you will go through and you're going to cut off just the corners of this as well as this one, and just a bit, not a lot. So what you're gonna do essentially is make a pocket that's gonna go right here with this piece, and then you'll have your flap, and you're gonna put a magnet here before you cover. So this will go back here, just like that. Oops. I wanna make sure it looks good from the front, so I'm gonna flip it first before I glue anything down. So see how flush that is? That's perfect. So I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to put a dab of the art glitter glue onto the pocket here, or the tab here. My glue would work. There we go. So just a little bit of the art glitter glue. And put that down like that. Hold pressure for just a bit. And then I'm gonna glue this part down. I should have done that first. I got ahead of myself. Glue this part down on here. It is quite all right though. Better late than never. And then I'm going to glue this piece down with just a dab of the art glitter glue. And then this will, I'm going to use glue around the border of this, and then this is what's going to go into your book to make your pocket and small flap. So I don't use like actual measurements when I cover these pages. I just kind of eyeball it and use the pencil to mark and then cut. If you wanted to, you could go through when you're making it and write down the exact measurements. I find this is easier to kind of just go with it and figure it out as I go. Not everybody likes that style, so just do whatever works for you. And then I'm just gonna paste this down right there. And now you have a flap and a pocket, and you'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna use my magnets again. And then you have a pocket with the magnets. So that's this one. And then we'll go and we'll do this page here. So you'll need a card again, and you'll do two, one for each side. I keep misplacing my cards, they're here. Here they are. So for this one, you will fold it again and burnish down. Like I said, sometimes these cards are not perfect. They are a little cheap, but they work perfect for this project because they are very sturdy. And so then you will score one at a 1/2 inch and then cut the other at a 1/2 inch. So we'll do that. Let me do the scoring first. It moved on me. And then we're going to cut the other one at a 1/2 inch, the other side. And then you're going to fold this one to the opposite side. You'll end up gluing it down so it'll open this way with a magnet, and then this way with a magnet. I'm just gonna trim off the corners like I did before with the other ones. So just a tiny bit off the corner. And then I'm gonna glue that down and we'll drop the magnets, and then it will be time to start covering some of the other pages. And then we'll do it on this side. And this will end up getting covered with pattern paper, which is why I used, for these ones, that's why I used the plain cardstock on this one, as well as on the back, because there ends up being more decoration going on with those pages, more of the decorative cardstock. So I like to use the plain paper instead of I don't like putting pattern on top of pattern. I know there's a lot of people who do. To me, it just looks too busy. Actually, I'm gonna do it on this side first. To me, it looks too busy, so I do it this way. But you can do whatever it is that you want with your own book. So that is the basics of this part of it. So, you know, that's where I put all the magnets. That's how you do all of the different type of pockets. This one goes this way, then this way. I love this one too. It's super cute. So let me show you how I do the covering for the other pages. And there's still a lot that goes into this, so we're not quite close to being done yet. So let me get my pattern paper for this one. All right, so to do this one, I'm going to use this really cute, kind of like word written. It says wizard, spellbound, adventure, magical. So I'm going to notch it. Well, I'm gonna have to notch it right about there. I'm gonna cut it down that way. Just make sure down here that that's good. Yes, that looks good. So you want a little bit of a white background, like against it. We will make this one right here. So that one will get pasted down right there. And then for this, you want to go into the pocket some so that it looks like it's down in. So I usually go about a ½ inch down and notch it. And then that'll look like so. And then we'll do the same thing with this one and go about a ½ inch down. And then you glue it in just like that. And then you do the same thing on this side. So I'm not going to paste it in just now, but that's, you just go around and like, so what I do is I take all the tape off, and when I go to put it in, I open up the pocket and put it in as much as I can to then look and see, and then I just burnish it down just like that. So I'm going to come back through and do those. This one I would just take and notch and cut to size, and same with the inside. The diagonal, the way that I do that one, let me find the one I wanted to use for the diagonal paper. So I'm just going to, again, do like a little notch right there and cut all the way down. And then to do the outside one, just put it all the way down in to the pocket and put a notch here and a notch here. And then kind of do the same thing that we did with the envelope itself, where we lined up. It'll be easier to cut this than it was the envelope, it won't move. So this notch here to that notch there. And then you have the perfect little covering for that. And then you do the same thing with this that you did with the front, where you just kind of put it in a bit. And I just put that diagonal piece down in, because that's fine. It'll be covered up and you won't even be able to tell. Just like that. And then I do a notch up here and cut. And then you'll just tape that in just like that. So that's that page. I'm not gonna put it in right now. I'll come back through and do it. But that's how you would put that in. And doesn't that look so cute? I love these owls. They're super cute. And then this one's gonna be the same thing, where you just kind of eyeball it, give it a little bit of an edge, and just tape it down for either side. Now this one's very similar to the other ones. You're going to, let me see which one I was going to use for this one. So, you'll want to cut it at like right down here. We'll notch it. We'll cut all the way across, and then we'll be able to do the inside portion. Then we do our notch here, and then we'll be able to, what I would just do is move it over just about an inch, half an inch there. So your notch is here, and then you can cut the other one right here. And you might be able to do your half inch here, and then that's your half inch there. Bring it right to there, and then you can cut it right there, and then you have your entire page covering for this one. So let's see how that worked. And then you will just paste that down. And then this one go on the inside. And this one will go on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off the camera and just put down all of the pattern paper, and then I'll come back and we will go through where you go from there. So it's now day 2. On day 1, I went off camera to finish covering all of my pieces with the pattern cardstock. So I'm going to flip through, just kind of show you what I've done so far, and then we'll go from there on the next steps. There is still quite a bit left to do, so hopefully I can finish it today. So with this kit came this really cute newspaper looking, but it has all like wizard and witches type stories and stuff. This is a magical story, wizards, shocking, photos revealed, joke shop, and I'm guessing that's supposed to be like, you know, I forget what it's called now, oh my goodness, but in the Harry Potter movie and books, the joke shop they had. And then this is like wand shop, like Ollivander's. So, and then this has the this is envelopes and postcards, and it looks really cute. It has that red seal on there, and then this is there's a pocket here, which I showed you how to make that. And then this paper actually was not in the paper kit. I didn't have enough paper to do everything I would like, you know, to cover every single page with something different. So I had to get some stuff from another kit. I think this matches really well with the snakes. Number 1, because of Harry talked to snakes, and number 2, because Slytherin. So there's that. And then here are the pockets on the page 2. This one was also from another kit. Again, just because I was running out of paper that I could use. And if I would have gotten more of the paper, I would have had additional paper to use. It's just because it's double-sided cardstock, so there wasn't as much. So then these have pockets on either side. Here are the owls with the pocket. And then this is, I love this for some reason. I just love the way it looks with this burgundy background and the bookshelf. And then on the inside we have some wizard/witches hats. And this one has these really cute stars and moons on either side, which looks great against the burgundy. This one has the side loading pocket. Oops, I put those in there. And then this is the same as the front. So the bare bones is done. The covering is done. So what we have to do now, the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put some cards in here. So I'm going to get my cards, and you're going to need 6 for this portion. So I have 6, and then I am going to cut them at 4.5. So these cards are already 6.5 by 5.5. So you'll just cut it at 4.5, and each one of them you'll do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll come back and show you where I put them. Okay, so they're all cut, and I think I may have said that it was 5.5 by 6.5, but it's 5 by 6.5. Cut it down to 4.5 by 6.5. So I will show you where I place these. So when you open up your book, on your page 2, you'll put 1 in each of these. And I face this part, the opening in, so that it's like the same, like it is different than the normal opening, but I like the way that looks. You can do whatever you'd like though. And then on this page that has the diagonal cut, we'll each get 1. And then the side loading page will get 1, each get 1. And then I go through and I usually cut another piece to like, I usually just do a card to go right here in this bottom pocket. And then, well, I'll do that later. And then on some of these other pages, which when I go to do some more decorating, what I'll show you what I do is I make some extra pockets. So I'll use some of my leftover scraps of envelopes, and I just paste them down there, and I'll cover it, and then you'll have another pocket. And I saved some of my newspaper so I can put the newspaper paper down on top. Sometimes I do something different. Like if you look at my baby boy album I made, like I used some Project Life cards to cover these, which turned out really sweet. But for this one, I'm gonna kind of just keep to the paper that's on the back. So I'll probably put an envelope here and an envelope here. I usually do a frame with a pull tab here and here, but we'll see where I go with it. I might do that again. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you are going to make the pull tabs. And I'm actually going to wait to do this until last, just because I have to get my Cricut out again. But what you'll do is you'll get 6 more of the cards out. I'm just gonna leave some extra ones out because I use them in other places as well. So like another place I put cards is here. And you can cut it down or you can leave it as is. I'm gonna see how it looks with just the regular size. So I might just leave it like that, but I'll probably cover this with something. So I'll put one there, and then like I said, I'll cut. I usually use either a card or a piece of white cardstock and cut some to put in this one right here. I usually put bookmarks that I make in the back of here, and then this is done, and we'll put one here as well. And I'll cover that one with something as well. I'll go through my paper. I still have paper. It's just that I didn't have enough to do a few of the pages completely. So I'll do this last, but I'm going to show you what you do now. You'll get 6 of these pieces of these cards, and you do not cut these ones. Leave them as they are. And you'll use a piece of cardstock that is I forget the measurement. I think I usually do 2 by 6.5. So like 2 by 6.5. And then I do something decorative because it's going to show when your book is closed. And I put it, when I paste it down, and I'll do this in a little while, I paste it down here so that you don't see it when you have the thing closed. And then when you open up, you can put some pictures in there if you'd like. So each one of these pockets that you made when you cut that tiny bit off in the beginning will get one of these in there. And I'm just gonna leave it out just a bit because, so since this is a regular envelope size, a regular card size, you have to have the pull tab or something because otherwise it's just gonna sit in there and you're not even gonna know it's there. So I'm gonna put all of these, in. I'm gonna decorate the rest, and then I'm gonna I'll pull out my Cricut, and I'll show you how I do that. I typically just go into my Design Space app, and I do it from there. However, if you don't have a Cricut, do not fear, you can still do this. So if you have any type of punches, like, let me get one. So if you have punches, like these border punches, these are perfect to use for this. So you would do your same thing, cut it like 2. Let me see if I have a piece of scrap. I can just kind of, I'm not going to punch it because I don't want to ruin it. But say this is the piece of paper that you're going to use. You'll cut it down to like 2 by 6.5. So this is almost the right size. And you could go through and you could punch these hearts out all the way down, and that would make a really cute design when it's closed. I think I want to do something like stars, and I don't happen to have a star punch, or else honestly using the punch is a little bit easier than getting the Cricut out to do it, but that's fine. I like to do what I want to do, and I want to do stars. So I'm going to pull the Cricut out in a little bit, and I will show you how I do that. And it's gonna turn out, I think, really cute. I'm not even sure what color I want to do it yet because I have the plain pack of the coordinating paper. So I'm just gonna put them in. Just like that. So once it's done, these will be the decorative pieces that you'll be able to see inside of your book. So I'm going to this is basically the end of the tutorial portion. Everything else is kind of whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to speed the rest of this up, put it to music. You can see how I go about doing the rest of it. And then that'll be it. I'll come back for a final flip through, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. These are more difficult to make. It is a longer, more in-depth project, but I really feel like what you get in the end is just the most adorable, customizable scrapbook that you can literally do whatever theme you want. You can change the pages up however you want, and these are just the ones that I do. There's other pages you can do, like you could she doesn't do this one, but say you could even do something that has like where you do a tiny score line here, and then you could have it fold down, you could have it flip up, you could have it waterfall, you could do anything. And in my next couple ones, I might branch out and do some different things because I've made a lot just like this. But I really do like this. I feel it's like very classic, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back in just a little bit with the flip through. Okay, so my phone died when I was doing the final portion of this, and I'm just going to go through the couple things that I did. I think it ended when I was like kind of like looking at how I was going to do the cover and some of these dies. So this is a die that I cut out. It's just a pull tab here for a photo. So it's like a bunny ear, and then this is a frame. And I have it here as well as at the back. If there's anything else that I missed, I'll go through the whole thing when I do the final flip through. I'm going to put some twine on these bookmarks. And then for the cover, I did finish what I was going to do. So I had these two dies that I layered. And then this is a tag that I really liked. I had picked this up in the beginning and put it to the side because I was like, this is going to be the cover. And it says, "Magic happens when we are together." And I think it's the perfect cover for like a photo album that's like Harry Potter, Wizard, and Witches themed. So I have this is just like the ribbon that I chose for underneath of it. And I just used my circle punch and punched out a circle. And then I layered this on and just hot glued each layer to the next. There's still some hot glue strings on here. So what I'll do is I will put some foam tape on here, and just I have a different pair of scissors for my foam tape because they can get sticky. So I recommend using a separate set of scissors. Don't use your good scissors, or if they are good scissors, have them designated for foam square or foam tape. So I'm gonna put some foam tape on the back of this. I'm gonna pop it up. It'll go right there. And then this is gonna go right on front like that. And then this was another die. I have two of these, one for the front and one for the back. So it's gonna go just like this underneath. I'll glue everything down and it'll wrap around to the back. And this will be the spine, which I'll show you everything once it's all done. But this is gonna be the spine. Seek the magic in every day. So that's going to go on the front and the spine. And then I have this on my Cricut. So the dimension for this is 6.5 by 1.62. And these are going to be the pull tabs. And what I decided I'm going to try to do, we'll see how it looks, is I'm going to cut it out 2 for each of these and use the front and back. And these are like the main colors for this collection. So I'm hoping that it looks really cute together. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish everything up, and then I'm going to come back and we'll do a final flip through and we will be all done with this project. So the book is all done. On the front it says, "Magic happens when we are together." And on the bind it says, "Seek the magic in every day." There's the dies that hold together the ribbon for the closure. And I think that these turned out really well, being the different colors for the big tags or the cards. So this first one says, "Magic in the House," and it's a card. This one says, "Some stories stay with us forever." This says, "A little bit of magic can take you anywhere," and this is a World of Wizardry. That says Express, and it's a little envelope, and that says Magic Express. It says, "Between the pages of a book is a lovely place to be," and that's a card. And then I showed how these are the tabs that come out for a photo. And then this says, "Welcome to the Magic." And each one of these pulls out, and it's just a card on the inside, and those are good for 4x6 photos. This card says, "Always believe something magical is about to happen." This one says, "Magic is all around you." And this one is not a card, it's just like a tag, so you could do like some journaling on the back. You could put a photo there, or you could just leave it as is. This says, "You're a keeper." This one says, Wizards rules. Be courageous and brave. Seek magic every day. Be a loyal friend. Always carry your wand. Be up to no good. And when in doubt, go to the library." Or go to library. Go to library. Go to the library would be better. This one says, we lose ourselves in books. Sometimes we find ourselves there too. This one says, welcome witches and wizards. And this says wizard in training, and it has these big bookmarks that you could put photos on or leave them in as they are. You could do journaling. Some of these have stuff on them, so that might not be easy. But what I always thought that I would do with these when I make mine is if you have like photo booth pictures from a wedding or, you know, event, I think this is like the perfect place to put those. Or you could always get like small wallets and make your own. It would be really cute. So that's the inside of this one. This one says, you have greatness inside you. This says 100% magic, and it is a card. It says knowledge and wisdom. Pack your bags for magic. And my first wand. This one's just blank. I thought that would be good for journaling. This one says magic happens here. And there's some books. There's always room for a story that can make you believe in magic. And it says wizards and witches. And then a suitcase or a trunk. This one says stay magical. Wizards welcome. Always believe something magical is about to happen. Magical nights. And it says cast a spell. And it's another one of the pull tabs. And then this one says adventure. Let your imagination take flight. Make your own magic. And this has an owl on it. And on the inside it says wizard in training. This one says riding the train. And everyone needs a little bit of magic now and then. You make every day magical. And some trunks. And then this is the postcard. I thought that was really cute to put on there. And then it's just the regular card. So that is the entire flip through of this Witches and Wizards or Harry Potter themed book. The kit is called Witches and Wizards by Echo Park. I think it turned out really cute. I do sell these for $50. They're a lot of work, which is why I sell them for $50, and they use a lot of material. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.